In this section, I am discussing few questions and topics related to memory management and the garbage collection. This topic is of JavaScript language and I'm going to raise 3 questions with this topic. What is the concept of GC or garbage collection is the first thing I'm going to discuss. When you declare a variable, object, array or function, all are stored somewhere in the memory. Assume that you have an object A. When your program starts, a location is created and data stored in this location. There are multiple locations in fact to hold huge values, but we are making one box as a location to simplify the presentation. Alright, so this object A which has some data and stored in the location. In between there might be some read-write operations. And what happens when the program ends? Once the program ends, the party is over. Now this location needs to be cleaned as it is of no use. So when the program ends, this is the garbage which needs to be cleared. Normal memory management or memory life cycle can be thought of like this. You have, let's say, an object, a variable or a function. There is an allocation of memory happens first. Then there might be some read-write process. This is a continuous process in fact till the program ends. And when the program ends, free these locations or releasing the memory. In some programming languages, you can call routines to clear this garbage, and some languages manage it automatically. But in short, clearing these free locations is the process of collecting the garbage or garbage collection, or even sometimes referred as GC. So I guess now you know what is garbage collection. And this explanation is general and applied to all programming languages. Now let's talk about how this thing happens in JavaScript. JavaScript is a high-level language. So you do not need to allocate memory. Memory allocation and releasing happens automatically, making the memory free in the process of garbage collection. And there is a routine who does it called the garbage collector. And this GC process is also called automatic memory management with reference to JavaScript. The garbage collection considers references and it tries to release the memory if a location is not reachable. Let's try to understand what is this reachability in JavaScript. Let's take an example. You have an object, I'll say let obj is equal to, there is a property I'm creating, I'll say name is equal to orange. Now what I will do, I will say let obj is equal to null. Now if I directly say null, then what happens? Obj has a reference to name, that is this orange, and that reference is cancelled now because obj is null. So this name, this orange doesn't have any reference. So this is something which needs to be cleared. So this area which doesn't have any reference, nothing can access this value, is actually unreachable, or you can say that this location is not reachable. Let's expand this code. I'll say let obj is equal to a value, let's say name orange again. Then I will say let obj1 is equal to obj. Now here I am assigning object 1 with the object. So here the reference will be passed. It will look something like this. This is the obj and here is the obj1. The name orange is shared by both the objects. Now in case if I say object is equal to null, then this will be removed. This reference will be removed. In case if we do the same thing with obj1, if I say object1 is equal to null, then this reference will also be removed. Then again this name is unreachable. There is an algorithm called mark and sweep. The logic is that the algorithm starts from the root object and checks for the references linked. In case if this algorithm finds unreachable locations, then those are the locations to be removed. It appears something like this. So what this mark and sweep logic will do, it will start searching which values have references. For example, it begins with global. Now let's say this has a reference, this value also has a reference, this has a reference. Further, there might be more references to other values as well. But in case, assume that these 3 do not have any link. That means some object now is set to null, or some other way these values have become unreachable. then what mark and sweep will do? Mark will mark all the referenced items, but things which are unreachable, things which are not having any linked reference will be not marked. And when the mark and sweep algorithm runs, it will look for unmarked locations and it will clean it. That's how the garbage collection happens. All the modern browsers use mark and sweep algorithm. In older browsers, in case of circular reference, there was a situation of memory leaks. Assume this situation where I have an object. I'll say let teacher is equal to new teacher, which is assume that it's a class. And we have student where I create another object called student and I just say new student. Now it might happen that teacher.student is equal to student and student.teacher that equals to teacher. So now here what happens is that the properties are with a circular reference. In this kind of situation, older browsers used to leak the memory in case only one of the object is set to null. But now that's not the case. The newer browsers are competent enough to handle these situations as well. So to summarize the concept of memory management and garbage collection, in JavaScript, memory allocation is done automatically. As long as references exist, there will not be any cleaning or collecting the garbage. If a location is unreachable, then that will be collected as a garbage or that memory will be released. Let's discuss relative questions of this topic. First question, how does GC work in JavaScript? So well, as long as JavaScript is concerned, whether it is in Node environment or even in browser, right? There is always a process because like browser also has like Chrome has V8 and the same V8 is working with Node. So the logic remains same. Mark and sweep process goes the same way. The only thing is whichever global object is there, from that global object, the mark and sweep process starts. It marks the values which are referenced and unreachable values, unreachable locations are cleared by a process called garbage collector. Second question, explain mark and sweep algorithms pattern. So as I just mentioned, mark and sweep is something which begins with the root element and then it starts marking the referenced values and things which are not marked, those will be cleared by this mark and sweep algorithm. The third question is, which situation can create a memory leak? So this is a situation where we have circular reference and one of the object is set to null, then the reference is lost. In this case, it doesn't have idea whether it is to be cleaned or not. This is the kind of situation where you can say that the memory leak happens, but it doesn't happen with newer browsers. So you do not have to worry. Anyway, JavaScript is a higher level language. So you do not need to do anything for garbage collection. But yes, you should know what garbage collection is.